the desire that I had to work with someone like you because I met you at an event, I loved that you were like, no, I specifically work with like high achieving women because high achieving women tend to have bad sex. And I was like, what? Tell me more. She's like, yeah, because everything that gives you the accolades that you are experiencing in your professional life is actually going to take away from your personal, intimate life. And I'm like, what? Like, again, my brain was blah, 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 blah. I was like freaking out, but I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the Pleasure Principles podcast. I cannot wait to introduce you to our guest today, Veronica Romney, past client, friend, creator of identity marketing. She has a new book out. Can't wait to tell you all about it and how it has changed my work and how I can talk to and help all of you. Welcome, Veronica.
This is fun. One, because you've changed my life. And so anytime that you give me like a teeny tiny piece of credit to helping you, I'm like, yeah, whatever. In comparison to how much you've changed my life, I'm forever in your debt. So this is fun.
Thank you. That is so flattering. And no, but you're not only changing my life, you're going to help change my clients' lives and my listeners' lives, because identity marketing literally is going to change the way that I speak about my work. And I mean, we're just going to start rolling out more stuff about the pleasure path. We did the private podcast, but behind the scenes been working on things.
Yeah.
And I think it's just going to make it so much more clear.
Well, you get credit though, because my whole book is like less buy this energy, more be this energy. And I feel like this is an appropriate podcast to talk about this. I think buy this energy is very masculine energy and very like, no, buy this. Like it's a very giving kind of forceful energy and everything to do with it. And then be this energy is very feminine, which is like, this is where I learned this is from you. I came to you for intimacy. You're like, but also let me teach you about masculine and feminine energy. Like, what is that? What part of that? And then it's everything.
Yeah. Which step on the pleasure path is that?
Exactly. So this is going to be really fun. And I do think that you get some credit for this.
Thank you. And we are heading to our retreat next week. So I would love to have you there poolside. Next one. Okay. So tell us a little brief history. You've been in marketing. You've helped so many big businesses, CEOs, so just give us a little taste so they know that you are the real deal. And I think they know that I don't have people on here unless they are, but tell us about you.
Yeah. So I've been a marketer for almost 20 years. It's been 18 years and change. Started my career working at ancestry.com. And then it's been a windy road ever since. I've never deviated from marketing as the discipline. I've never deviated from that being the art and science, the craft that I've exercised, but I've had different eras of that, journey.
Also feminine.
Yes. Right. Like I've been in-house. I've been on my own as an entrepreneur. I've been a speaker. I've been a podcast host. I've been private consultant. Like I've exercised it. I've exercised the gift in different capacities, and I've worked with a lot of brands. So both like traditional brands, B2B or B2C, these software companies, the Burger Kings, the Indeeds, like some of those. Like I'm literally going to Minneapolis next month to do a presentation for Land O'Lakes. If you're familiar with butter, make butter sexy again. And then wildly enough, I've somehow, this was not intentional, but somehow found my way working with a lot of personal brands or online personalities. And so I was a speaker for Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi. I've worked with some other household names or figures. And that's a very different game and arena when you literally are the product. Your face, your image, your own IP is the product as opposed to like a faceless brand. So I've had a little bit of experience doing a little bit of everything, but always being a marketer, always helping people ethically persuade others to do something for their good.
Which I think is what I like about your work. And I think what stands out more today, because the barrier to entry is low now with social media and the way things are. There's so many people out there like to make money and not to truly help people. And there's so many unethical ways to market. I see it a lot, especially in the health industry.
Oh, it's horrific. It's like a crime every day that's being committed on the internet streets.
Well, yeah, I like that analogy. It's problematic to me because I went to school for 8 years, and then we have these health influencers and momfluencers giving people health advice.
Yes.
And it's scary. And it's like, take this product. And it's not done ethically, in my opinion, because they don't know what they're promoting is safe. They don't know the health conditions that the person has or doesn't have that's viewing it, right? Like, there's no way to screen who that's going to get in front of. And if the product that you're recommending is harmful or not, or going to have benefit or not, or the claims that they're making that these products do for them. So, and we're inundated with this every single day. So can you tell us why identity marketing is different?
Well, let me just validate you. So as a marketer and as an online personality, there is no barrier to entry. Like, there is no universal standard in which somebody is graded, tested to say you are legit. Like doctors, right? Like, there's certain professions where you have to take the LSTAT, the MCAT. Like, there's certain
there's licensing exams,
literally, right?
You have to maintain your license yearly. You answer to a board.
But marketers, I mean, since I've been doing it, like, there's none. You can take certifications. I can get Adobe certified, Google Analytics certified. Like, there's certain like things that I can do to appendage to my name to show that I'm legit. But like, your bro in his boxers in the basement can be a marketer. Like, it is what it is. So, and now obviously with platforms like social media, anybody can like get on there and be like, well, I did this. And if you want to look like me, be like me, do what I do, have the life that I have, buy this. And it's like, woo. So I'm not a big fan of that type of messaging, which is, it is harmful. It can be dangerous because especially when you're telling people what to eat or do to their bodies is really, I mean, now you're in,
we're in scary territory.
Yeah, exactly. And so, these blanket advice, and what's also really deflating is it's very contradictory to each other. So like, one post will be like, apples are the worst thing that you could, like, don't eat an apple. And then they'll like, the apple is the best. Like, it's a negative caloric thing. You burn more calories eating it than what it's worth. So it's a great thing. I'm like, what the hell? Like, do I eat the apple? Do I not eat the apple? Like, it's crazy. Like, you can literally find something to contradict anything. So, and what's really sad about the medical marketing space or health wellness marketing game that I see every single day is it's very by this energy. Like, it 100% is leveraging fear. So let's do this for those of you who are listening. Let's clarify what I mean by like buy this energy versus be this energy. So majority of marketing today, or marketing that maybe you've been a victim to or that you have felt yucky doing if you're a business owner that's listening, is what I would call a buy this energy. Buy this energy is where you're like, order now, limited time only, while supplies last, final call, buy Friday or die. Like, it's very, it is a very pushy, coercive type of move to get people across this purchase finish line. And I would say that the health and wellness space definitely leverages urgency, scarcity, fear mongering, and FOMO. Those are probably like the top 4 ingredients when I typically see these kind of health and wellness type of marketing place, because your life is at stake. Like, they know the stakes are extremely high because it has to do with your body, your well-being, your longevity, and they're also manipulating your vanity. So that's the thing. Like, that's the ingredient.
Wanting to be loved and accepted.
For sure.
Like the belonging part, right? It's, take this and you're going to have a flat stomach. But yet that person is not admitting they have an eating disorder. They're not admitting they're on Ozempic. There's zero transparency and zero knowledge to be promoting.
right? They know they're exploiting someone's desires to look a particular way or to be perceived a particular way or to have a particular level of status because of the aesthetic that you hold. And it's an exploitation of that. And that's hard. That's really hard because, it does.
People want that.
Yeah, of course.
But I don't think it's what they really want. I think they really want the be this. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I don't hold back when it comes to calling out the real reasons why women are struggling with low libido, intimacy, and connection. But there are still some conversations that need more depth, ones that go beyond what I can share in an open forum. That is why I created The Pleasure Path, the Alpha Woman's Guide to Feeling Fulfilled. A brand new private podcast designed exclusively for high-achieving women who feel like they've tried everything, but still aren't getting the results that they want in their relationships or in the bedroom. This is my most in-depth transformative work yet. Raw, real, and packed with insights that I've used to help thousands of women finally reclaim desire, connection, and joy. Raw, real, and packed with insights that I have used to help thousands of women finally reclaim their desire, connection, and joy. Why did this series have to be private? When I work with high-achieving women, I see the same patterns over and over again. You're exhausted, holding it all together, and still feeling unseen or unsupported in your relationship. You're constantly over-functioning, but your partner is checked out, leaving you feeling like more of a roommate than a lover. You've tried therapy, you've read the books, maybe you've even had your hormones checked, but nothing is really fixing the problem. And worst of all, you think it's you, but I'm here to tell you it is not your fault. There's an entire system of conditioning that has trained high-achieving women to excel everywhere except their relationships and pleasure. It's breaking out of that conditioning that requires real, unfiltered conversations, the kind I can't always have on a public platform. That's why I had to create The Pleasure Path as a private podcast, so I could go deeper, so I could say the things that no one else is saying as it relates to being a high achiever. And so that you can finally get the tools, stories, strategies that will actually shift your reality. But don't take my word for it. You'll hear from alpha women just like you who have been exactly where you are right now. And it gets better. In episode 1, I dive into the 10 signs of anhedonia. And here's the truth. This isn't just another podcast. It's a roadmap for high-achieving women who are ready to finally feel desired, connected, and fulfilled in their relationships and in their lives. If you are ready to stop feeling exhausted and unseen in your relationship, to reignite passion and connection without forcing it or being fake, learn how to shift from over-functioning, over-giving to actually receiving, to finally understand why nothing has worked before and what actually will, then The Pleasure Path was made for you. But because this is a private podcast, you need to be on the waitlist to access it. Go to thepleasurecollective.com/alpha to join. And once you're on the list, you'll get every episode delivered straight to your inbox. This is your invitation to take the next step towards a completely different experience of intimacy, connection, and pleasure. You've done everything else. Now let's do the thing that will actually work. Head to thepleasurecollective.com/alpha and join the waitlist. Because you deserve a personal life, a relationship, and pleasure in and out of the bedroom. I can't wait for you to experience what's inside. I'll meet you there.
Well, so be this energy, or like what I am proposing in the book. And I give 5,000 examples to show you that you can have it all. You can have wild financial success and not be a buy this marketer or a buy this messenger, that you can really just be a be this or belong this type of, become this energy. So be this energy is like, instead of saying order now, you're saying join the colony, or become a boss babe, or like, it's just a different vibe, because what you're really doing is you're playing on the psychology of someone's core identity. So like, for example, kind of what you were talking about, like below the surface. So if at the surface, your customer is like, hey, I identify as a fit person. I've always been a fit person. I prioritize going to the gym. I eat a particular way. Like, I am a fit person, and the things I buy and the things I do really affirm that identity. Being fit is like the surface, right? Underneath the surface of your desires or your identity of being fit, it's like, well, what fuels that? Am I a fit person because I'm vain and there's vanity driven, which I'll raise my hand. For a long time, that was my big why. And then my sister got breast cancer, and now she's a survivor, but it was really, really hard. Right. And so now, yes, I still identify as a fit human being on the surface. And I still, like, if you looked at my buying behaviors, like, she likes Lululemon, and she likes the sports bra that corrects your posture, and she does this, and she does, like, all that can be true. But the source of my identity is no longer vanity, it's longevity. Like, I really don't care what the scale says anymore. I want to live to 100. I never want to have cancer. I never want that to be my story. So be this energy, or become this energy, taps into the core desires, the core source of why we do what we do, and we identify the way we identify, where most marketing will just stay at the surface of somebody.
And I think that's why it's harmful
Yeah.
in the health industry, and even with masculine, feminine, and even with some of the ways that I would speak about it early, without, because you're getting these snippets or like a post, right? But if, a person is in a relationship where their needs aren't being met, and she's, high achieving, over giving, wants to do the best, like checks all of our high achiever boxes.
Yeah.
And we're telling her the solution is be more feminine. And I know I said, like, but maybe she doesn't have the support to do so. Maybe it's not safe for her to do. Like, there's so much more. Things. It's way more nuanced than just, oh, okay, well, be more feminine or do what I do. Like, that's like the surface of masculine, feminine. But if we went deeper, what is feminine? What is feminine energy, right?
One of the things I'll just being on the other side of so I am not just like an admirer of Jordin's. I'm like a former customer, a former client, a former, right? Like, I was your person. I'm also, my awareness level of what you do is so much more expansive because I'm on the other side.
Because you've done it.
And so I remember one of the first things that you challenged us, at least challenged me on immediately. I remember, like, I was going through my notes because I knew we were going to talk today. I was like, first thing you were like, you don't have to earn good sex. You just deserve good sex. And I was like, what? Like, because again, high achievers give me a list and I slay. Like, I really pride myself on the ability to, like, be busy and get shit done and, like, slay. Like, I know no list that has ever conquered me. And so in many ways, again, this didn't even come from my parents. It's just wild. Just like this kind of societal coding and messaging that you just start subscribing to in a really subconscious, weird way. But, like, in many ways, I kind of felt like intimacy was a thing that needed to be earned once I could get through the achievements of a list. And you're like, no. I was like, okay, challenge number one, my brain exploded. Then the other thing that you were like, right from the get-go was like, self-care is not a bubble bath. It's way more profound than just kind of this bullshit that you would see on the internet of, like, light a candle and take a bubble bath. Like, that's
buy this collagen face mask while you take your bubble bath.
Yes. And so that was another thing that you're like, like, the way that you define what true self-care is versus the self-care that's being permeated and pushed out in these messages that we see. So you've always been somebody, I think, as an expert who, like, challenges and punches prevailing wisdom in the throat. And I'm kind of here for it.
Which is, what? And we were talking about that on the, like, internally about my work. And it's going to be funny, but I'm a penetrator. I pop those bubbles. And that's what we were calling it because it has the double meaning.
Yes. And we're here for it because too many people are being lied to. And it just sets us up to feel bad because, okay, so let's say I listen to that. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to take a bubble bath. So that should make me more, open, receptive to, my partner. And what happens when that's not the case? Then,
right.
So what does
it's
that mean
harmful.
about me?
It's
right.
damaging. It becomes, right. I'm broken. I'm the problem. I need to do more, fix more, achieve more. And
it only makes it worse.
Right. It's a never ending problem. Yeah. And then we never feel fulfilled.
Yes.
And that's why I'm almost finding like the more successful my client sometimes, or the more outwardly successful, the more boxes she's checked, the lonelier and less fulfilled almost she is. It's almost this inverse relationship. So I had spent hundreds of thousands over the years on marketing and support and team. And I went to an event that you hosted and we talked about identity marketing. We talked about be this.
Yeah.
And it's in all my businesses. And anyways, you said it in a way that was so clear and I could kind of just go, oh, I get it. Because you're pulled when you're running a business and you're told, give the limited spots or whatever. But like, if I do limited spots, it's not because I want people to feel pressure to buy. Yeah. It's because I want a small container where they feel safe to talk about intimacy.
Yep.
So, but just hearing everything that you're saying was making it so much clearer to me about, I don't want to get caught up in that by this energy because that's never what it's been about for me in any of my businesses. Yeah. It's never been about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. A couple of different thoughts here. Does urgency and scarcity and FOMO and even fear leveraging work? Yeah, of course it works. 100% works. People will absolutely buy when presented these ingredients in a marketing message or in emails or whatever. But what's interesting about like urgency and scarcity, it's not that I'm allergic to it if it's real. Like Taylor Swift really is just coming to Toronto for 3 nights, and she really only has 50,000 seats in a stadium because that's the capacity and that's the fire code. like these are real things.
Yeah, it's a real limiter.
Right. What I take issue with is where somebody decided that this PDF is worth $5,000, and I'm like, who decided this PDF was worth $5,000, or who decided? Like when these things are on purpose used to manipulate and coerce, as opposed to being honest and upfront. Like legitimately, I am a provider of a very intimate container so that you feel psychologically safe to talk about your intimacy. That's a very different narrative than like, get it while it's hot. We only got 10 spots. Like it's just different.
But that is what I was never taking the step to say.
Yeah.
And I need to do that so that the people that are aligned with me would be like, oh yeah, that feels good. And I want them to know that they're not on a call with 50 people that are strangers to them. Yeah. They know who would want to, especially when you're starting the journey on the pleasure path and you have all this shame around intimacy and you have no language for it. Right. So that's why, but I would say 10 spots because it was true, but I would never.
Yeah, I understand.
Clarify, right? Like my point
why
is
that's so special and why that's so intentional. Yeah,
exactly.
I think the other breakthrough that I had as a provider or facilitator over your experience, because like, first of all, I'm in a room, there was like 6 of us. So like, it was also tiny and it was, like, again, a little tiny, tight container on purpose. But for me as a provider, every time I do these things, like I'm co-creating with you guys in the room, like I'm being presented your issues in real time and also having to like tune into like what's being dropped in for me, for you. And so like one thing that kept on coming up for me is like, I remember the desire that I had to work with someone like you because I met you at an event. I loved that you were like, no, I specifically work with like high achieving women because high achieving women tend to have bad sex. And I was like, what? Tell me more. She's like, yeah, because everything that gets you the accolades that you are experiencing in your professional life is actually going to take away from your personal, intimate life. And I'm like, what? Like, again, my brain was, blah, 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 blah. I was like freaking out, but I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. And then, but what's interesting is like, had you told me that being a high achiever, so it's interesting, you have to walk this tightrope, Jordin, which I think is fascinating, because in one regard, you have to tell me that being a high achiever is the cause of my intimacy issues, but you can't strip that identity away from me because I hold it with such pride. Like, I really, really pride myself on being a high achieving woman and being a contributor in my home and making money and showing my 2 little boys that they have both equally strong parents who contribute. And like, you can't, like, I was so protective over it. So I had to accept that it was causing an adverse effect, but you couldn't be so adversarial that you're like telling me not to be who I am. So that's the tightrope that you have to walk, which I think was fascinating. So then, like, the breakthrough that I remember having was the yes and. Yes, you badass bitch, you, Veronica, high achieving you. Yes. And the answer to having it, really, really having it all, is also learning how to be a high receiver. And I'm like, what? And then my brain explodes because it's a yes and appendage to an identity that I still desire to identify as. And now I have the opportunity to learn how to be a high receiver, which is the femininity, which is like the receiving end of the intimacy that is so great for women. So that was like, for me, I was like, my brain exploded.
You get to have both. And I remember we got on a call after that event that we were at. And I remember you saying, and you were almost panicked, but you're like, but this is my identity. Like, this is me. And then that's when I had a light bulb moment go off and go, oh, I need to make sure that I tell them that they don't have to give that part up.
Yes. Exactly.
And that's a light bulb moment for me.
Well, it's interesting because it's like, you have to educate me in a way, and like, you have to shift my paradigm for me to even be willing to work with somebody of your caliber, your nature. But again, we can't, it's like, there's a touch of too confrontational, where if you were to like really tell me that the identity that has made me feel good about myself, well, I'm hiding the other identity that nobody knows about, which is like, I'm having intimacy issues and I'm not this like goddess in the bedroom, right? Like, it's interesting because you had to make sure that you were not so adversarial or so confrontational that you didn't even have a chance to like speak to me in a way I could hear you. Good thing your nature is so soft. Like, you are such a quiet presence and a quiet power to me. Like, you just the way your mannerism, it's nature. Like, you're already like that. So like, thank freaking goodness. But there are other people there are other experts like you who turn me off because they're talking about femininity, but they're so effing masculine. I'm like, I don't understand.
It's an incongruence.
Yes.
Even if people can't explain it that way, they pick up on it.
Yes.
Yeah, they can totally feel it. So I have a question for you about my soft nature with all of your wisdom. Okay. And that's, I've shown up as me, you know, and if I could do what I do, like quietly and not in the public eye and not need to speak out there, I would. And I was chatting just like about going viral and stuff. And I don't really want to go viral. If I wanted to go viral, I would want that to mean that more women that needed to hear me saw my message. You know, I don't want to go viral for the sake of going viral. So I was getting some tips from people on my team of like, you need to be bolder and you need to have more conviction and all this stuff. And I'm at this, it doesn't feel aligned to me. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean,
of what I should do, knowing my nature.
Well, I think it's interesting because sometimes the immediate interpretation of being bolder and having more conviction equates to being louder, and that's not true. We're not talking about volume. So, like, you don't have to be obnoxious. You don't have to be over the top. You don't have to say the F-bomb every 2 words. Like, that doesn't mean that you're more powerful. In fact, it's the loudest person in the room is the least qualified, is usually how it goes. For those who are really smart and savvy, to be honest, right?
Good point. Yeah, true.
We don't have to do any of that. what I do think that is your mantle to carry is to dispel the lies that are hurting women from a place of enormous empathy and conviction. Like, I know, having sat with you privately, been in your car, like had breakfast with you, that like, women are being abused, misled, hurt, like really damaged. And it bothers you deeply. And so like, there is this kind of Robin Hood ingredient that you carry, which is like, and that's the mantle that has to get you out in public for the rest of us. But oftentimes, to be honest, like, you keeping the same tone, the same volume that you do right now, right here, that you've always had with me in person, in private, on stage.
Yeah, like, I'm showing up as I am. I'm not putting on a...
Right. That's the same. But I think where I do need to feel your conviction is I need to know that, like, no woman left behind type of feeling. Like, you are here for me. Because how many times has a provider not given that to somebody as an invitation? So that, I would say, is on you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate, and that lands for me. And it's because I know in my heart, in people that are in my groups and work with me, they know it's a no woman left behind. Yeah. Like, I am gonna sling you over my shoulder and carry you if I have to, situation. But you're right. That part of my conviction, that is not external facing on here or...
And I've seen you do it, because even when I was like, again, I'm on the other side of the paid wall. So like, I've, sometimes when we're in our sessions with the other women, and sometimes, and I've done it too. So like, this is not a criticism, but sometimes we will bring up our partner's name, or like, well, our partner this, and you're like, I've seen you challenge that. Where it's like, okay, partner aside, what are you doing for you? Like, whoa. Like, your partner's not validating you, or like that can't also now be the other source of your power. Like, where's your power of your own generation, of your own kind, of your own making? Like, so even amongst us, you are so female centric. Even if we are in a loving relationship, you are still very female centric and self-centric for us, which, again, I think that needs to permeate more too.
Thank you for reflecting that. And I've been working on it, because the goal that is at the end of the pleasure path, tell me what you think of this, honestly, you can call me out in front of everybody, is okay, is a pleasure-centered relationship. Yeah. So even partners that are in a loving relationship, it's still male-centered. It's still male-centric.
I would agree. Yeah, for sure.
And a pleasure-centered relationship is where both people are fulfilled. Both people have pleasure in and out of the bedroom, right? And this isn't like, oh, we hate men or forget. Like, it's I know that. No, it's like sex that is so fulfilling for both of you, and a relationship that just feels so supportive and so seen for both of you. Yeah. And it doesn't mean, we have to be equal or we have to show up perfectly all the time, but it's like,
I actually think that's genius, because I will, and again, I know that's not the case for every single person that buys from you, but like, for me, I remember right before, like, I said yes or cut the check or whatever, I remember like telling my partner, who I've been with, like, I've been happily married for 15 years, but I remember telling Scott, I'm like, I'm going to do this. And literally, I remember one of the first things that came out of his mouth was like, well, what if you outpace me? And I was like, oh, like, he had some upper limit fears of like, like, now would I be able to, satisfy her?
If she's sexually awakened, am I enough?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's interesting. I think if this pleasure-centered, like, centered relationship means no dude left behind, like no woman left behind, no partner left behind. We're talking about heterosexual couples, but even if
regardless,
no partner left behind, right? Like, I think that's actually, you might, without you realizing it, maybe some of the reasons that people don't buy from you is because of lack of support at home, but that would actually
often
negate that, right? Because
it's an often problem,
for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it is because the relationship is male-centered. Our sex education is dismal, but it is centered around penis in vagina sex,
Yeah.
which we know that is, again, male-centered. It's the way men
Yeah.
reliably orgasm. It's not the way women necessarily reliably orgasm. So, and I think it is scary for partners because they're like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like, what about me?
Yeah.
It's scary because they don't know what the alternative is. So I was
Yeah.
like, oh, light bulb.
Yeah.
At the end of the pleasure path, you get a pleasure-centered relationship. And that means more and better sex for both partners.
Mind you, I laugh because I remember when I learned the whole, like, you don't earn, good sex, you deserve good sex. So I remember we were on a call and I was like, oh my gosh. And I text Scott. I'm like, he's in his work day. I'm like, I don't earn it. I deserve it. And he's like, yeah, that's what I've been saying. And it's funny because, he's such a sweet, I told you, he's like a golden retriever. He's just like so happy to please. He's just so on board, so happy to please of a person. And he's so supportive for me. And I'm so grateful. But he was nervous at the beginning when I was like even considering working with you because of potentially the negative anxiety ridden kind of thoughts that maybe he wouldn't be a great partner for me anymore or whatever if we change the dynamic of the equation. So I really like that for you. Actually,
Thank you. Okay. I'm glad that this gets the V stamp of approval because it's going to be so good. I think it will help a lot of people really visualize my work and be less scared of approaching it.
Actually, it's back to the identity marketing work, because what you're talking about reminds me of a story. So Adelaide Olkeen is the CEO of Talkbox.mom. Literally, the company's name has the buyer in the name, Talkbox.mom. And they teach families how to speak foreign languages. And the buyer, 95% of the time, is definitely the mother figure for sure. But when they went through the identity marketing framework, the big thing that came up even in that very first step of the discovery, the finding it, was like, she's not buying an Italian language because she's going to Italy with her Italian lover. She's buying Italian or Spanish or French because she wants her family to learn a foreign language so that when they go on their trip to Mexico, they're using Spanish and they're connecting and bonding. So even though the mom is the buyer identity, it's really the family's that is the identity marketing at play. And that's who you need to market to, is her family's self-actualization, the family's up leveling. And they just hadn't really thought of it that way because they always just talk to mom. And I'm like, yeah, but mom's buying for family. And so I think sometimes what you can navigate as well on your sales calls or whatever, when you're having these perspective conversations, is is she buying for her, truly, or is she buying for them? Who's she really buying for? Which I think would be interesting.
That's very interesting. So we have pleasure-centered relationship and then we have pleasure-centered family. Mm-hmm. Because that's what just ends up happening naturally, right? Once she has the tools, it spills into her intimate partnership and it ripples into the family as well. Yep. But she says it's for her, but I do honestly think a lot of the time it's for the relationship. It's for saving the relationship. It's for her partner. Because again, and even as alpha, as high achieving as we are, for as much as we can, do in a day and we can accomplish in all of our achievements, there is this element of, I need to please my husband. For sure.
Yeah. 100%.
Because sometimes she'll even say to me, I'd be okay if I never had sex ever again, but it's my partner. He's the one. And there's a lot of also high achievers that are the high libido partner, which I love too. Because regardless of the dynamic, regardless of which way it's mismatched, the pleasure path will work. And that focus is the pleasure centered.
Yeah. And I think that's what's really exciting for your work, is that you have what we call marketing benefit extension. So if the primary benefit is her up-leveling, her self-actualization from high achiever to high receiver, that's the primary transformation that you are selling them, because it's the truth. What's really cool is you're yeah, but I extend your benefit, because once the journey is occurring, guess who gets the immediate payoff? It's your spouse or your partner, or your whoever. And so, yeah, it's a double win. It's a triple win for the people who work with you.
Yeah. And I've never clearly talked about it. Sure. So I'm very
You're a doctor. You're not a marketer. Who would have taught you these things?
No, this stuff is hard for me.
Yeah.
And even with the pleasure path, and as we're developing it, and I'm working on a pleasure path assessment.
Oh, I love
where it's, you've done therapy, you've listened to the podcast, you probably listened to me for a couple months. And this assessment is going to tell you what is wrong, like in which areas you need to fix. Is it masculine, feminine? Is it power dynamics? Is it your hormones? Like this assessment will sort that out for you.
Yeah, all of the above.
Yeah. Elements of probably all of the above. Yeah. So, or communication, like where's the breakdown?
Well, and with high achieving women, we are constantly assessing our businesses, our professions, and we are very like tell us where the low hanging fruit is, tell us where the acute pain is. Like the job is to take away the boulder from the issue. Like we do that every single day in our 9 to 5, most of the time in our homes for sure. And so like if you can I think what's really cool about an assessment is where you as a provider you get to teach me language that I wouldn't have used beforehand. So if you're like power dynamic, like first of all, like what the hell does that even mean? But so you're like, you have a power dynamic issue. Let me define what that means first. Power dynamic is da 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 da. And this is where it's going to show up for you. You won't call it this, but you will know because it's going to manifest in this way, this way, and this way. So take me into the room in which it is occurring and how it's occurring. That translation. And then as soon as you've done that work for me, I'm walking around telling everybody I have a power dynamic issue because you've taught me that. And I'm empowered. I'm emboldened by new language because you gave it to me. So now we have reciprocity going between provider and future member.
Yeah. And you just say it in a way that makes all the sense in the world.
I got you.
Which is your expertise. And that's because if they don't even know that exists, that a power dynamic, like they're unaware. That's a bit of a problem with my business because you think the issue is one thing. They're really not aware of the depth of the true problem.
100%.
And I think if I can just put it all out there at the beginning, and it might be a little overwhelming, but that's what I like about the path, because not everyone is going to need to stop at every step on the path, or, and maybe somebody's stuck at one area. Like we have a lot of power dynamic work to do, or, I think
I would give you a tip on your assessment is you need to also, because the other thing with your client type is that we run and overwork through problems. So like literally we just get busier to avoid dealing with shit. So I think what you need to do in your assessment, not only do you show me and magnify like the source or the true source of some of my issues and then teach me language, define it, like all that's going to occur. And I'm like, yeah. And you're going to tell me what to do with it. Yeah. But here's what needs to happen on that same like results page is you need to communicate. And this is where like, because you're so ethical and so truthful, it's going to be great because what you need to communicate is the repercussions of doing nothing. If not, I will continue to do nothing because how long have I already been experiencing crappy intimacy, hair loss, whatever? Like we become wildly complacent or we run and just get extra busy and then blame our busyness for not being able to address it. So like on your results page, like if I have a power dynamic issue, you teach me what
would happen if that continues.
Correct. We're gonna work on it. This is how you work on it. But let me just, because I believe whether you choose to work with me or not, no woman left behind.
Yes. That's exactly it.
What will happen if you don't address this? Again, regardless if you work with me or not, you need to know, telling you, and I'm going to be honest. And this will happen and this will happen. And I know because I've worked with 3,000 women, blah, blah, blah. So that's that little package of trust. Woo! Fire.
And that's what I wanted it was even if you never work with me, that's not the point. The point is I want women to be able to tangibly identify what the problem is. And that's why I'm creating the assessment. So I've said that and I've told that to my team and that's been the point, but I wouldn't have put it on the results page. So V, you literally genius. marketing genius.
I try. Doesn't mean I always do. I'm successful. I wish that all my marketing was brilliant and I would be retired in the Bahamas by now, but that's not how it works. You're always testing,
Yeah, but all of my clients, they're low key killers. We are quietly shaking the world. We downplay our success, and
your groups are some of the highest caliber. I mean, like I'm in a room with like a doctor. I'm in with multiple doctors. I'm in a room with these baddies that run like multi-million, tens of millions of dollars of business. I'm like, what is happening? Like we're all getting real. And I'm like, yes, this is what I'm taught. Again, this is why I loved working with you, because you're like, I attract and I specialize in these high achievers. I'm like, yeah, like, I just love that. I love it.
Yeah. And the ones that are real deals,
Yeah, real deals. Yeah.
Not like, not fake.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time and insight. I mean, this was so helpful for me. And I want everyone listening, if you have a business, even my healthcare providers, my accountants, identity marketing, you need to, it's for everyone. Grab this book. There will be a takeaway from you, even if you're not running your own business.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, even if you're not a marketer.
So we've created a whole world for people. And I'm glad that you said that. Like, I don't care if you're an intern that's making $15 an hour, or you run a Fortune 100 company, or you're like, I don't know anything about marketing. Identity marketing is just psychology of people's identities and speaking to it. And that's going to work in your home. That's going to work in your teams. That's going to work in every facet of your life, because every one of us is in the pursuit of ethical persuasion on a daily basis, period. Whether it's your 8-year-old to brush their teeth in the morning, or the PTA, or you're this or that, like we're always ethically persuading people to do something for themselves to help them. And so if that's you in any capacity, I think it's a really well worth pursuit for you to learn this concept and leverage it ethically even more so. But we created a whole world for people. It's on identitymarketingbook.com, where you can get the book in every format possible: audiobook, paperback, hardback, all the things. But also we have tons of little resources, a quiz to tell you which chapters to read, which chapters to skip, depending on what your situation is.
Brilliant.
We give you a playlist, we give you assets, we give you prompts. Like, I don't want people just to read this and think it's a good idea and be inspired. Thank you. My ego thanks you. But I, as a person, I genuinely want you to do something with this. Because to me, execution is my love language. So like, I really want people to like get something out of this that actually changes their lives.
Love it. Thank you for coming and sharing your wisdom. I feel like I just had a private coaching lesson, and I'm going to be able to take it and help so many people, which is
the goal.
Be this.
Yeah.
Thank you.